Democrats and Republicans, and just one undecided. So let's clear this up right now as we look at the ladies. Instead of saying Democrats and Republicans, you would prefer that we say leaning toward Obama or leaning toward Romney and undecided. Is that clear? Is that okay? Mm-hmm. All right, and we all met earlier, so we're on a first-name basis. So those of you who are leaning toward President Obama, by show of hands, can we see who you are so the viewers know? And those of you leaning toward Mitt Romney, okay. Now, by show of hands, who do you think won the debate? President Obama. Let me see the hands for that. And Mitt Romney. And do we have, okay, is anyone undecided about who they think? Okay, so you're still wondering and sorting it all out right now.
I'm leaning towards Obama. I'm undecided on who I believe won.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the issues that came up with the debate. It's all about women. Everyone's saying that women will decide this election. So, Carrie, let me start with you. What issue matters most to you in this election, especially as a woman, and do you feel that was addressed tonight by either of the candidates?
I think one of the things that was brought up that is very important to me is about the culture of our country, whether we are a culture of life or a culture of death. And I think that it was barely touched on at the very end when they were talking about gun violence. Mm-hmm. And they also talked about defunding Planned Parenthood. One candidate is for defunding Planned Parenthood, the other one is against. Myself personally, I am pro-life, and I think defunding Planned Parenthood is a good idea, and I'm glad that it was touched upon because that is part of the culture that I think needs to change in this country.
Okay, so your important issue was addressed. Let me ask you, Yolanda, was your issue addressed? What is that issue, and did the candidate address it?
Well, I think it wasn't. There was only one question really related to women, and that was regarding equal pay, and I think that was very important. And I think, being a single mom working in corporate America and knowing that we don't get equal pay, and the fact that the president, did have the Lilly Ledbetter law put in place helps women tremendously, and I think that was very important. And that's important to me as a woman, and one of the issues that's the most important.
Okay, Sierra, what were your issues, and was it addressed?
I think women's issues like reproductive rights are big issues in this election, and they were sort of touched on, but I felt like the vice presidential debate really covered them to a bigger extent. So the Planned Parenthood and right to contraception through the Obamacare, so it was sort of touched on. But
okay, Katie, same question.
I think it's not so much a women's issue, it's more of a student issue. I'm 22 years old. I'll be graduating in the next year or so. I'm looking for how am I going to get hired once I get out of school? Where can I go? And right now, I'm leaning more towards Smith because he can provide those jobs that I would need.
So they did address the economy. They talked about student loans. They talked about women in the workplace. Rashima, was that something that you were interested in hearing tonight?
It is, and I've also experienced it. For me personally, I was a full-time real estate broker. In 2007, I had to go back to a full-time job. I took a major price. I said major, right?
You didn't say major. You said major.
Salary hit. But what it did, it gave me a salary every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, rather. And the next year, the company closed the entire branch. So what I remember is when President Obama went into office, he promised 4 years ago that I would have a clean slate, I'll let you know what's going on, and I want to give everybody a fair shot.
Okay.
So for me personally, and I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, but I believe that it takes time. I really believe it takes time, and because that company closed, it really did bless me. Because I started my own passion as a small business owner, and that takes time.
All right, so those of you leaning toward Obama, you were agreeing with the whole it takes time premise that Rashima has. So, Kenya, let me bring you into this conversation. What was most important to you, and was your issue addressed?
What's important to me as a mother and a small business owner is the economy and job growth. So both candidates did touch on that subject, but truthfully it's insulting to hear the president speak about big birds instead of talking about solutions for the economy. So it's nice that they brought that up, but at the same time, entertain us with a plan of action. Promises are promises, and some promises have not been fulfilled in 4 years. So I think having somebody who's pro-business, pro-American, pro-small business is what we need to help move the country forward.
Okay, and Sonia, you were nodding in agreement on that, but you're leaning toward President Obama, so tell me your thoughts.
Well, I do agree that I think they should really stick to answering the questions and not just try and throw these barbs at each other. One of the issues that I was concerned with was the energy plan that they talked about somewhat, and clean energy for this country and for the future generation, because I hope to one day be a mother, and I'm very concerned with the environment for my kids.
Kaylin?
Well, I think all Americans, their number one priority right now should be the economy and job growth. President Obama has had his chance. He's had 4 years to make some improvement, and I don't feel, and I know people who don't also agree with me, they don't feel that he's making any improvement. I can understand he can't fix everything, but he can at least say, I'm trying to move in the right direction, and I don't feel his policies are doing that.
All right, and the undecided, Crystal, where's your issue addressed? What was most important to you? I'm curious, and did they talk about it?
The most important thing for me was the immigration factor. I have a lot of family and friends that are immigrants, and they've been here for most of their lives, and they are still waiting to get those papers. They're still waiting for that support from the government to accept them here. And some of them are in school, some of them are in college, and when they finish school, they're not going to be able to work. They won't be able to do anything because they don't have those papers. And hearing Obama's side and with the DREAM Act and all the things that he has done, that made me lean towards him more than Romney. So that's where I stand on it.
And it's good to hear a variety of issues from all of you here in the panel, because as women, we don't have the same ideas about everything. We have a variety of interests, a variety of opinions, and we're hearing them tonight. I wanted to ask, about the tone of the debate tonight and what you all thought of the tone. Any volunteers? Kenya?
It seems as if there is a common thread with all of the candidates in debates right now. There's a lack of respect of personal space and giving the candidates the time to answer a question without interruption. So I think that a little more respect from both parties would be appreciated by not only women but all viewers at this point.
Does anyone want to add to that? Go ahead, Sierra.
Frankly, they sounded like bickering children for a good third of the debate. They're just getting in each other's faces and interrupting each other and calling out the moderator and talking over each other, and that's disrespectful and it's ridiculous. I don't need to watch that. That's a waste of my time. That's a waste of their time. Anyone else? Everyone. All right, Karen, go ahead, Karen.
Honestly, I feel the same way. I'm really tired of politicians saying, that's not true, that's not true, that's not true, because numbers can say whatever you want them to say. And so, you're going to put your point across and have support. No one's out there just blatantly lying.
Okay.
The president isn't, and neither is Romney, but, they keep being called liars.
I have a final question for everyone. If you were leaning toward President Obama or Governor Romney, did this debate make you feel more enthused about your candidate or the same, no major change?
More enthused.
Definitely. Okay, why, Yolanda?
Well, because I think one thing, of course, is that debates, I hope, do not define the candidate, because we talk about the body language and yes and no and it's true or not true. And so most people, I think, that the debates have kind of taken a different picture. But I do feel that President Obama, in this second debate, really showed and gave figures, clarity, competence, and consistency.
Okay, and I want to give the last word to our undecided voter, Crystal. Did tonight's debate help you make a decision one way or another?
It did. I am leaning towards Obama more than Romney. I even caught myself not even paying attention to what Romney was saying at one point.
All right. So, we thank you all, ladies, for your variety of opinions. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll hear from you soon after the next debate.
Thank you.
Don.
Thanks, Melinda. Still ahead, something a lot less frightening than